Hey guys, so today I want to talk about free time during physical therapy school. Are you going to have any free time during grad school? And if you do, what's the best way to manage that free time in order to further yourself as not just a student, but as a future clinician? So during physical therapy school, your schedule is going to change a little bit every semester. So in general, what you want to look at is the schedule of your classes that they release, but also looking for where they require extracurricular activities as well. So for us at school, every semester is going to change with how much extracurricular activities you have to do outside of class. In your first semester, it's going to be a bit less. You're really focused on the class load. Usually you're going to be in classes anywhere from 8 to 4 p.m. with some breaks in between classes usually for like a lunch break, let's say, and sometimes you might have stacked classes where you have like a 30-minute break or even an hour break in between classes. And my rule of thumb is if there's only like a 30-minute break in between classes, I don't bother trying to just study through a 30-minute break. And that's really because you're going to start getting burnt out when you do that. You really need to take a little bit of time to relax, especially if you've had a 4-hour like neuro lecture or anatomy lecture. You need a few minutes to just take a walk around the building, hang out with your friends for a bit, play some ping pong, whatever, and just let your brain settle before the next lectures. I made that mistake during my first year where I would just try to study with every little available break during the school day because I wanted to maximize studying at school and less at home. But I ended up not paying attention very well during my afternoon lectures because I was too burnt out. I didn't have any mental capacity left. So I do recommend if there's only a 30-minute break or even maybe like a 1-hour lunch break, these days, I mostly just take that time just to relax. Unless you have like a big test or quiz the next period, then maybe you can do a little bit of review with your friends, but really try to take that time to just relax during the school. Now, if you have a longer break than let's say an hour, occasionally sometimes in our schedules you have like a 2-hour break in between classes, which they fill that with extracurricular activities you may need to do to get like hours for school. But if you don't have any activities during that time, usually with a 2-hour break, I usually will get maybe like an hour of studying. So that's usually my rule of thumb is like after you're above 30 minutes or an hour, I will take some time above that to study. Now, what are these activities I'm talking about that's extracurricular? Well, your school is going to require like volunteer hours. So my school requires 10 hours a semester for volunteering. And there's usually quite a variety of things you can do. So for us, we have like a stroke class where we help pro bono people in the community that have had a stroke, and they come in and we work on rehabilitation with our neuro professors. You have just we have a pro bono community clinic that people come to, so you can work with the physical therapist that runs that pro bono clinic. You have activities working with children that you can work on. There's a whole broad range of things. I just want you to get 10 hours a semester. And then during our second year, and this also depends on the program, we also have research that we're required to do, like a research project. We're also taking several hours out of the week, especially this last year during our second year, where we're also doing research. So this is not just during your classes, this is just built-in time that you got to make outside of classes. And so when you're trying to manage your free time during the week, be prepared to build in time for these extra things because it's not going to show on your basic school schedule. So make your own schedule at home and plan in those extra things where you know you have to put in more time than just the classwork. But then on top of that, you also want to manage your study load. So for me, I want to make sure that I still prioritize self-care during the week, not just all studying. And this is, again, a mistake I made my first semester when I went too hard with trying to cram every little minute of free time into just studying. So I wanted to be as far ahead as possible. But you really do end up burning out quickly if you do that. You need to prioritize self-care and some times for your brain to relax, right? So for me, what that looks like is I'll have classes from, let's say, 8 a.m. to around 4 p.m. during school. I'll have like a 1-hour lunch break, so I'll take that time just to relax. And then I'm going to study at the school from, let's say, like 4 to 5:30. Then I'm going to come home. My wife gets home from work. We usually take a walk after that or go to the gym. I want to make sure I at least take a walk. I try to go to the gym anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week. Just give yourself time to do something physical because you've been sitting around all day studying, and just a good way to relieve stress and clear your mind. Then usually after that, I'll try to get in maybe another hour or up to 2 hours of studying later that night from like, let's say 7:30 to 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Usually by around then, at least for me personally, I tend to not have great quality studying after like 9 p.m. I start to get a little tired. I usually try to be in bed and going to sleep around 10 anyways. So I like to have like a wind down time where I either like watch a little bit of TV with my wife or I start reading a book, and I just try to naturally just let my brain calm down from the studying and not try to cram studying until right before I go to sleep. So for me, that works, doing 1 to 2 hours a day during the week for studying. So just building that habit during the week to build in some study time while still giving yourself time for self-care, especially if you have to go grocery shopping, get dinner, do a workout, shower, all those things take time. So you want to find that balance, right, during the week. And then during the weekend, usually what I do is I have a study group that we meet up on Saturday mornings, and that goes anywhere from like 8 to 11:30 or 12. So we get a good 4 hours in, and usually this is the time where we're doing a lot of quizzing for each other. So I spend a lot of the week doing more self-studying, and then doing more quizzing with each other over the weekend once we've built some of that base knowledge. And then depending on when you're getting closer to midterms or finals, right, I'll bump up my studying on the weekends a bit more. So on the not quite as busy weeks, I might be like 4 hours on Saturday morning, maybe an hour in the afternoon, and then maybe 2 hours on a Sunday. Other people like to really have an entire day off, so they're like, hey, I'm doing a lot of studying Friday after school and on Saturday, and I'm taking Sundays off. That's totally fine. Just find out a schedule that works for you. Because really, there's 4 areas where you want to focus your free time on, right? You have either studying for your free time. You have self-improvement. This can be in the form of working out or reading books to gain knowledge outside of just physical therapy specifically, but just like, am I getting better at personal finances, better building relationships, all these self-improvement things that you should always continue to be doing. Then you have free time to just relax and kind of like rejuvenate, to just take time to go on Instagram, go on your phone, space out, do whatever you want. That fourth category is going to be those daily tasks that you just have to get through every day, whether that is making breakfast, lunch, and dinner, meal prepping those meals, using the bathroom, showering, driving to and from school, daily chores around the house, all those things, right? Those are just things you have to get done every weekend and every weekday. So that's also another category you have to build in time for. I find that people that really can manage those things the best is they really make a flow chart or a chart of some sort where they can track all these things, because if you can really build in, let's say you need that 2 hours a day of studying, and then let's say like 4 or 5 hours Saturday and 3 on Sunday, and that's the amount of hours that you find you need to study in order to successfully pass your classes and do well and get that long-term learning, then you can really have an ability to get guilt-free free time, because you built in that time. You're like, hey, I met these metrics for the week, and now even though I'm spending time now doing what I want, going out with friends, going out with my wife, doing things, making food, going out, you have the ability to do these things without guilt, because you know you already put in the amount of work needed to pass those classes. And this isn't something you'll figure out right away. This takes a little bit of time to build that network, but really start doing that right away your first year of school, so you can figure out what works for you. Because it's easy to start comparing yourself to your classmates and be like, oh, well, they study for 4 hours every work day, and then during the weekend they study for 10 hours Saturday and 8 hours on Sunday, and they're doing good in the classes, so I need to study just as much as they are. But that might not be the case for you. Maybe they need to study longer in order to retain the information, but maybe for you, you only need half that amount of time to do well in the classes, and you're just studying extra and stressing yourself out without even needing to go through that. So don't compare yourself to other people. Really look at yourself and be like, what do I need to do to get through these classes efficiently, right? And that comes again back down to your study habits, how efficiently you're using your study time, and also your time management during the day in order to build those blocks of study time and for free time to relax. And that amount of study time you need during school is going to ebb and flow, so you're going to have to adjust that chart. Some semesters might be a little bit lighter on the study materials, but it's going to ramp up right before midterms and finals when you need to review more for exams. And other times, like during clinicals, you're going to have a lot more free time because you're only working that 40-hour work week. And then on the weekends, you pretty much have the weekends off. You don't even need to study, which is really nice. So you can use that time in those 4 categories I mentioned, and you can use those as you want. If you do want to, let's say, prep for your board exams, if you want to just study just to get better with things you saw during the week with your caseload that you want to get better at, or just do self-improvement and relax on the weekends because you're like, hey, I'm putting all the work I need to during the week. On the weekends, I'm going to relax and just find time for myself. So it's really going to vary throughout school. So be flexible with your schedule, but also build intentional time for those study blocks, and you're going to find a lot more success, and you're not going to feel yourself being like guilty every moment you're not studying. That's how I was my first semester, and it really stressed me out and started to lead to burnout. And you don't want to do that to yourself needlessly. So start building out that time blocks for yourself. If you need help creating that, let me know in the comments below, and I can try to help create a Google Doc that's worked for me. And if you guys have any other suggestions on what helps get you through PT school and using your free time well, let me know below and subscribe for future videos on this topic.